Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Caroha and I share delicious food from scratch here as well as my food blog caroha.com. Today we're going to make lard bread, a very old-fashioned recipe I found in one of those trusted old recipe books I got from my mother-in-law. One of those books is from 1878. It's a wealth of knowledge and experience, cooking knowledge and just a history lesson in food. I love going through it. Casserole rabbit, mincemeat for Christmas, or how about this one? Pressed tongue. I think I might give this one a skip. It's basically a scrapbook of recipes. I would love to start making one of those for my children and generations to come. Wouldn't that be nice if somebody about 50 or 100 years from now would cook my recipes and find my writing and snippets from today's newspapers or bits and pieces I take out of magazines. I would love that. So here you have it. But today we're going to focus on lard bread. So let's get started. For this recipe you will need 1 1/4 cup of filtered lukewarm water, 1 1/2 teaspoons of active dried yeast, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1/4 cup of lard, 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, 1/2 cup of bacon pieces, 4 cups of flour and some freshly ground pepper. Combine the lukewarm water with sugar and active dried yeast. Stir it and let it sit for 5 minutes until foamy and frothy. Meanwhile, cook the bacon pieces in a hot skillet in some extra lard until crispy. Add the salt and freshly ground pepper to the flour and combine. Now add the wet ingredients including the lard and activated yeast. Stir to combine until you have a shaggy dough. Put it onto a clean surface and start kneading the dough by hand. The lard makes it an incredibly soft dough, it almost feels like Play-Doh. The dough is pretty sticky, but spread it into an 8 by 8 inch square and spread the bacon pieces on top of it. The dough is pretty sticky at this point, but try to resist adding any flour or the bread will become dry. Let the dough rise in a warm place for 1.5 hours. Punch down the dough, add it to some baking paper and shape it into a round loaf. Again, this is a bit sticky, it's a very high hydration dough. You can wet your hands lightly to make it easier to handle the dough. Brush it with some extra lard and let it rise for another 30 minutes. Score the top and bake it in a preheated oven at 400 Fahrenheit or 200 Celsius for about 30 to 35 minutes until golden brown. Let it cool fully before slicing. This lard bread makes a delicious side for a variety of meals including soups, stews and salads. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it inspired you to try some old-fashioned recipes that maybe have been handed down in your family. Again, I encourage you to ask your family for these cookbooks. It's a wealth of knowledge, history and food culture in those that I think we should preserve for many years to come. You can find a link to the full recipe in the description box below, and I'll see you next week with more delicious food from scratch. Cheers! Bye!